Okay, are we good?
Hang on 1 second. It's doing the circle-y thingy. We are live.
Okay, great. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Banking Committee, Tuesday, February 23rd. See if my co-chair, Senator Kasser, would like to make any opening remarks.
Jess, good morning, everyone, and excited to get to work.
Very good. And how about our ranking member, Senator Berthel?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. Let's get started. Busy day.
Very good. And Rep. Delnicki.
Good morning to the chairs, my ranking member colleague, and today we actually get some real things done here on the JFSing of bills. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Representative Delnicki. Yes, so excited to get started here. With this committee, we have a tighter deadline and an earlier JF deadline than many of the joint committees. So that means we get started with our JF action a little earlier. So we're going to get into it today. Roman numeral 3, before we do that, we have 3 bills proposed to be drafted as committee bills. So I will go through each one of these items and ask for a motion and then discussion. So the first one proposed to be proposed House Bill 5608, an act requiring investment advisors to provide certain information to clients. Does anyone like to make a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second that, Senator Berthel.
Okay, motion by Representative Delnicki, second by Senator Berthel. Any discussion of this item? Any discussion? If not, just like to say thank you to Representative Fusco.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I was having technical difficulties this morning. I don't know why at all. I'll start with my caucus meeting. Yes, thank you. This is a piece of legislation that I brought forward. It's fairly innocuous. And what it does is it protects folks with their financial futures and investments that have cross beneficiaries. They don't have any contingency beneficiaries. So if both people should unfortunately pass at the same time, those assets are now subject to taxation, et cetera, et cetera. So when I had called my parents' financial advisor about this, he said that, he was already in the process of making those changes and contacting those people. I thought we're on the right track. So thank you for bringing this forward to be drafted. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Representative Fusco, for bringing it forward. And I read your testimony on the day of the hearing, and my condolences to you on your personal story. But that I think is how good legislation certainly starts from. There's a story behind everything, and your experience with that, I think, is illuminating. And I think will be good. Like you said, I think this should be a pretty modest and innocuous change, but a good one that'll be important and protect consumers. So thank you again for bringing it forward.
And thank you for those comments. I appreciate it.
So we have a motion made and seconded. We can take a voice vote now, or I would entertain the consent calendar if we'd like to do that.
Mr. Chair, we can, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Representative. You're muted. Mr. Chair, I think the representative would like to offer us a consent calendar for some of the items under Roman numeral 3.
Okay.
It would help if I unmute.
Right.
My apologies. Yes, I would like to make a motion to open a consent calendar and put item 1, proposed HB 5608, on that consent calendar.
Okay, without objection. Okay, very good. So we'll move on to number 2, proposed bill number 5610, an act expanding access to certain loans issued by the Connecticut Higher Education Supplemental Loan Authority, Connecticut banks, and Connecticut credit unions. Is there a motion on that one?
So
Motion to
moved.
draft.
Motion to draft, so moved.
Second,
Okay.
Senator Berthel.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? I guess I'll start by saying that this is an interesting concept. We did hear testimony, obviously, the issue of student loans and all of the related issues surrounding student loans is one that is of high interest and certainly within the cognizance of this committee. I believe we need to perhaps collect more information on how we could accomplish the goals that are proposed by this legislation, which may include collecting more data from CHESLA and having more conversations with CHESLA. So it very well may be that this is an item that becomes the subject of a study or further research, but we'd like to start the process of drafting it and see where we get with it. With that, any other discussion?
We'll offer that up for consent, Mr. Chair.
Okay, without objection. All right, on to number 3, proposed House Bill 6323, an act establishing a state of Connecticut bank. Is there a motion on that one?
So moved.
So moved by Representative Gucker. I have a second. Any second? Anyone? There's a motion to draft. Just for discussion purposes, and I'd like to second.
A second.
Okay, seconded by Representative Baker. So discussion, I'll start by saying that this is an interesting concept. We heard a decent amount of testimony on this. I believe it is the intention and of the committee leadership, and certainly correct me if I am wrong or need to clarify, that this is one that we would like more information on, probably not something that is ready to be fully drafted and implemented this year. My thought would be there is which was at the time, fairly comprehensive report by the Department of Banking from 2012. It seems to me in reviewing that, that it could benefit from some updates to how the landscape may have changed with regard to the issues that a state bank or a banker's bank which are, slightly different concepts as they have been implemented throughout the country. It seems to me that those issues may bear further research. So my intention would be to move this concept forward as a study and not to fully draft something to be implemented as a state bank. Any other discussion?
I just want to concur with you. I think that we did hear from many of our colleagues who support this concept. We also heard from the banking department, their objections to it. I think we all agree that we do want to explore what the potential problems in the current market might be. If there are community banks that are not getting access to capital, that are not getting access to the bankers' banks that are out there. So I would concur that further study of this is warranted at this time.
Thank you, Senator Kasser. Anyone else? Representative Dolnicki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be asking for a roll call vote on this to flag it for future consideration. I will point out that the representative of the banking department was pretty clear on the fact that there was no real need for a state of Connecticut bank. His words, not mine, when I asked the direct question. So with that, I will be asking for a roll call vote.
Okay. Thank you, Representative Delnicki. Anyone else? Anyone else? If not, would the clerk please call the roll on this item? And reminder for everyone to have your camera on, state your name and your vote. Yes, yay, nay,
Yes,
etc.
we need to have you on camera in order to record your vote, please. Regarding House Bill 6323, Representative Doucette, how do you vote?
Rep. Doucette votes yes.
Senator Kasser,
Senator Kasser votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Representative Delnicki votes no.
all right, I need everyone to mute. I'm going to mute everyone, and please unmute yourself only to vote, because that's messing with who's showing up, okay? All right, Senator Berthel,
Good morning, Madam Chair. Madam Clerk, excuse me. Senator Berthel is a no with a flag.
Representative Gucker,
Representative Gucker is a yes.
Senator McCrory, Senator Bradley, Senator Hartley, Representative Baker,
Representative Baker votes yes.
Representative Borer,
Representative Borer votes yes.
Representative Paolillo,
Representative Paolillo votes yes.
Representative Perone,
Representative Perone votes yes.
Representative Stallworth, Representative Ziogas, Representative D'Amelio,
Representative D'Amelio votes no.
Representative Fusco,
Representative Fusco votes no.
Representative Leno,
Representative Lanu votes no.
and Representative McGorty.
Representative McGorty is a no.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
one
everyone.
moment. Hang on one moment, because Senator McCrory just this moment joined us, so I may as well take that vote from him as well.
I'm here.
Senator McCrory, we are voting on House Bill 6323, an act establishing a state of Connecticut bank. How do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Is that all?
Representative Doucette,
Is that all you need from me today?
for right now, yes.
Just for now, we're just at towards the beginning of our agenda. So that was our first vote. So we will hold the votes open until 2 o'clock to ensure we can get everyone. I know it's a busy morning. So votes will be held open for this meeting until 2 p.m. today. Okay, so I think next we should vote on the consent calendar for Roman numeral 3. Any other discussion on that? If not, I will ask the clerk to take the roll on that.
Okay. On consent calendar, we're voting on House Bill 5608 and 5610. Representative Doucette, how do you vote?
Rep. Doucette votes yes.
Senator Kasser,
Senator Kasser votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Representative Delnicki votes yes.
Senator Berthel,
Senator Berthel votes in the affirmative.
Representative Gucker,
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Senator McCrory, Senator McCrory, are you still with us?
I'm voting in the affirmative.
Thank
Okay.
you. Senator Bradley, Senator Hartley, Representative Baker,
Representative Baker votes yes.
Representative Borer,
Representative Borer votes yes.
Representative Paolillo,
Representative Paolillo votes yes.
Representative Perone,
Representative Perone votes yes.
Representative Stallworth, all right, Representative Ziogas, Representative D'Amelio,
Representative D'Amelio votes yes.
Representative Fusco,
Representative Fusco votes yes.
Representative Leno,
Representative Lanu votes yes.
and Representative McGorty.
Representative
Yes.
Gordy votes yes.
All right.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we'll now move on to Roman numeral 4, bills to be considered for final action. Number 1, SB 831, an act concerning commercial mortgage loan originators. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved
Thank
by
you.
Senator Kasser, seconded by Rep.
Second.
Delnicki. Okay. Any discussion on this item? On this item, I believe we did not hear any testimony in opposition, as I recall. There was opposition in favor. I think this is serving a pretty small sized market for commercial loan originators within the state of Connecticut, and for the convenience of those folks who are typically highly compensated individuals. This would clarify rules and regulations pertaining to overtime and their overall compensation. So I think I have not heard, like I said, any issues with this one. So I think it is a good change that will help industry here in Connecticut, and I will be supporting it myself. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, at this time, I'd like to motion for a consent calendar for some of the items under Roman numeral 4.
Okay, and place
Second.
this item on it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that at the same time.
Okay. All right, very good. Without objection, we will move on to number 2, HB 5027, an act requiring the banking commissioner to establish a first-time homebuyer savings account program and establishing a tax deduction for contributions to first-time homebuyer savings accounts. Is there a motion on this one?
So moved, Mr. Chair, by
Okay, it has
Representative
been
Delnicki.
moved. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Senator Kasser. Discussion on this item. Representative Delnicki.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a quick question for you pertaining to whether it should be the banking commissioner or the commissioner of revenue services that should be in charge of the forms and starting the process up.
Yeah, I think it's a good question that I think requires further input from both of those departments as to how the mechanics of this would work. It seems to me that the banking department is certainly a logical agency to administer this program as it pertains to bank accounts. At the same time, it also involves a tax credit. So it will undoubtedly require some level of input from DRS. So I think as it's drafted now, it's mostly within the jurisdiction of the banking department, which I feel is appropriate. But like I said, I do believe it would be appropriate to perhaps ask for more input from DRS as we move forward. And certainly if there were any changes that were recommended by those agencies, we could entertain that at a later date before it came to the floor of the House.
I concur with your recommendation, Mr. Chair, that would be the appropriate way to go about it. And quite frankly, whether it be by amendment or whatever, what have you, to get that dialogue going in a very rapid fashion and then go forward from there. But I think we should pass it today.
Agreed. Any other discussion on this item?
Mr. Chair, I move that we place this on consent.
Okay. Without objection. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 3, House Bill 5090, an act concerning mortgage forbearance and crumbling concrete foundations. Is there a motion on that one?
So moved by Representative Delnicky.
Thank you, Representative. Is there a second?
Second from Senator Berthel.
Senator Berthel. Discussion on this item. Okay, I would just say this was another one that we heard a good deal of testimony on, some for and some against. This item also perhaps involves the issue or the problem that we would have to deal with as to which types of financial institutions we are intending to reach with this legislation, whether it be state regulated institutions, and certainly a large part of the mortgage market that this would affect are federally regulated institutions. So a question as to how to best accomplish that still exists as it's drafted. This bill, and there were some changes to it in the substitute language. As it's drafted, this would apply to state regulated institutions because that is clearly within the jurisdiction of this committee and the general statutes of Connecticut to regulate. Some other changes that I just point out that were made to the language were, I think, based on the testimony to have this forbearance program, if it was enacted, to coincide with the CFSIC, Crumbling Foundations Indemnity grant program, so that it would apply to homeowners who are out of their homes while their homes are being repaired and their foundations are being repaired. So I think it theoretically aligns quite nicely, and the changes to this JFS language reflect that it aligns nicely to that program. Okay, so on this item, what is your pleasure?
We'll put that one on consent too.
Okay, without objection there. All right, move on to item number 4, HB 6369, an act concerning issues related to mortgages and mechanics liens. Is there a motion on that?
So moved.
So moved
Second
by Representative Gucker, I think.
Second by Representative Delnicky.
And seconded by Representative Delnicky. Any discussion on this one? This one, I will just say again, we have some JFS language, some clarifying comments were received from the Judicial Department as to the procedure for mechanics liens. There were some clarifying in section 1. There was a reference to a certified copy of a mortgage release being sent, and there is in fact not really any such thing as it's commonly done. So that was changed to remove the word certified. So it's just a copy that the banks would send to the mortgagors. So there are a few good concepts in this bill, and the one I think that we heard the most about is the mechanics liens process. This would streamline the process for substituting a bond for a mechanics lien. So I think this is a good concept and is overdue and would streamline the procedure for that.
Mr. Chair, we'd like to offer that for consent as well.
Okay, great. Without objection. All right, next we're moving on to HB 6371, an act concerning the presumption of ownership in joint bank accounts for a JF. Is there a motion on that?
So moved.
Moved by Rep. Delmicky.
Second.
Seconded by Representative Borer. Any discussion on that one? This one I'll just note is a straight JF. The language on this is very clear and simple. This was a bill that was passed overwhelmingly, almost unanimously in the House in 2019. Very simple concept, which has the primary goal of protecting the elderly from abuse of their bank accounts. So,
We'll offer that
committee,
for consent, Mr. Chair, as well.
Very good. We'll put that on consent without objection. Item number 6, HB 6372, an act exempting from execution certain funds in a judgment debtor's account. Can I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Moved by Representative McCrory, Senator McCrory, excuse me. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Gucker. Any discussion on that one?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir. Senator Berthel.
So, I'm just going to come right out of the box and say that I would like a roll call vote on this this piece of legislation. I think we heard some good testimony, both for and against, in the public hearing. This is a bill that does come back. It's kind of like a perennial plant. It comes back each year, and I understand the intent. But what I'm hearing from what we heard in the public hearing and what I hear from constituents as well, small business owners, that particularly right now in the COVID world we've been living in for almost a year. There have been additional financial challenges for not only consumers, but also for some of the small businesses who I think ultimately the change that is proposed in HB 6372 would continue to hurt small businesses. So I'd like to ask a roll call. I will be a no on this bill to just continue the dialogue, and I would encourage my my colleagues to take the same position as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Berthel. Any other comments from the committee?
I'll just add that
Senator McCrory.
Yeah, I'll just add, since this bill has been around for a number of years prior to COVID, that means this issue has been around for a number of years. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to come together and see if we can do something on this bill. So I would encourage my colleagues to vote yes, so we can move this bill forward. And if we have to make some changes, we can bring like minds together to come up with a solution. So I encourage my colleagues to vote yes, so we can move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator McCrory. And it might be a good time to mention as well that the JFS language here represents a compromise of sorts between the interests and the testimony that we heard on the language of the bill. And I acknowledge, of course, that this is a bill that has been around for a while. In 2019, I personally spent quite a bit of time. That draft was different. It still had the same general, I think, goals from the proponents of the concept, but the language this year was a little different. We did hear testimony, of course, on both sides. There were two issues that were sort of defined, delineated in this bill. One was the automatic protection and exemption of the $1,000 wild card. And then the other had to do with the way wages were treated, wages that were deposited in the bank account. We did hear conflicting testimony on the issue of wages. And so that has been taken out. That has been completely taken out of the bill. So wages deposited in bank accounts would be treated exactly the same. What's left in the bill is the concept of the $1,000 wild card that would be automatically protected. And as I think those of you who attended the hearing heard, my opinion on that is that $1,000 wild card is already an identified exemption under state law, that anyone who wants to protect $1,000 in their bank account from a bank execution is able to do so. However, what's not clear in the statute is the process by which that is supposed to happen. A reasonable reading of the statute as it is now seems to imply that it would be automatic and that the bank would just do it. However, the practice and procedure over the years has been that a person has to avail themselves of the court process to file a form and to spend a morning or an afternoon in court. All the while, their bank account has been frozen. But again, there already is an exemption on the books for the $1,000 wild card. So this bill, in my mind, as it is currently drafted with the JFS language, simply clarifies that whole procedure. And as I said, frankly, I think closes a loophole in the existing statute, which makes that $1,000 automatic. This provides clarity. It is, in fact, I would submit, even easier for the banks. We also made changes to the language that takes out some language that implied that there were other funds that the bank was supposed to identify as being exempt. This reverts back to the existing statute. The bank no longer has to identify other identifiable funds that are deposited other than what's already listed in the statute and has been listed in the statute. So we also made that change to make it clear. So I think this is a good bill. I'm certainly supporting it. I think this is the year to move it. As to the concerns as to whom it affects and which way it affects, I would disagree that it would have a large outsized effect on small businesses or creditors. Those creditors would still have the ability to collect on a judgment. They could do so most commonly. What is done, and having had some experience with this in my law practice, what is more commonly done is a wage execution for small debts that are collected in small claims court, for instance. And that process is not affected by this at all. So that would still be the primary, I think the statistics would show the primary way that creditors are collecting small debts. It also would still allow property executions. You could file a lien against somebody's property. And again, from my law practice, I see this all the time, assisting folks with real estate, refinances and closings where perhaps they have a bill from a hospital or a credit card that was not paid, and we have to pay it at the time that they close on their property. So these debts are still very much collectible, and you could do a bank execution. It just now would mean that the $1,000, that last $1,000 in somebody's account, would be protected. And I also submit too, I certainly there are small businesses that find themselves creditors trying to collect debts. But I think, again, the vast majority, and I think the statistics would bear this out, and I'd be interested to see this and try to collect this data, of the small debts that we see collected in our small claims court are, in fact, from credit card companies. And then after that, next, hospitals. So I don't think there are a lot of Main Street businesses who accept credit card payments who would be affected by this as much as the large credit card companies and hospitals. And again, those debts, I would submit, are still very much collectible, and those judgments do not do not go away. Senator Delnicki, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Delnicki.
I
Sorry.
thought I got a promotion there for a second. My concern lies with the small business people that have contacted me that see this as truly an impediment to them staying in business. You know, it's tough enough for a mom and pop operation. And I'm not talking about the hospitals, and I'm not talking about the credit card folks. I'm not talking about the big box stores. I'm talking about that local hardware store, local folks that do home improvements and things of that nature. And many of them literally see themselves on the brink of having to shut down and shut their door. And here we are with these folks putting another impediment in their way to just stay in business and stay making ends meet. I can't support it because it's already tough for them now to stay in business, and especially with COVID. I mean, it's been putting businesses out of business, as you well know in my community. Your office is in my community. So today I will be voting no on it. I'm concerned with the WBEs, the SLBs, and of course the MBEs. So again, thank you for an opportunity to say a couple of words about this. I think it's time to vote.
Well, I just want to add one comment, which is we all support small businesses. I don't think there's anybody on this committee or in the legislature that wouldn't support small businesses. And that's not what this bill is about. This is not an anti-small business bill. This bill enforces what is already in statute, that people, individuals who are down to their last $1,000, they've lost their jobs, they can't pay their mortgage, their rent, they're down to their last $1,000. They are supposed to have that $1,000 protected by statute so that maybe they can at least have money to feed their families or themselves and get back on their feet. But it's not protected. It's not protected if it's written in a statute, but in fact, they have to go through onerous measures to protect it. And we heard, very compelling testimony from attorneys who represent these clients who are often elderly and have to go through onerous steps just to protect $1,000, don't even know that they have that right to have their last $1,000 protected, which is why sometimes they end up giving it away because those who are more informed in the system negotiate them, by using fear that they might lose it all, and they end up giving away, half of it. So we're not talking about penalizing small businesses. We're talking about protecting truly the most vulnerable citizens in our state who are down to their last $1,000, which is supposed to be protected by law, but is in practice not protected at all if they have to jump through hoops to enforce their right. So I think this is a very now that the wage situation has been eliminated from the bill, that was an unfortunate addition. I think this is a very straightforward bill that protects individuals in dire financial situations.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Borer.
Thank you, Representative. I think actually Senator Kasser explained it eloquently. I was just going to reiterate that this was something in statute, and by taking that $1,000, it's actually a violation of statute. So we're just trying to unmuddy the waters for those who have to go through this challenge, who might not know that they have this protection. But I think it's been stated. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Anyone else? Anyone else? Again, I would just reiterate that as Senator Kasser eloquently stated, I don't think this is meant to hurt small businesses. And in fact, I think the data, if we were to look at it as to who this is affecting and who is collecting on these debts currently, I think, again, we would see that the vast majority are not, in fact, small businesses in our districts. And in fact, those businesses still have the ability, as I stated earlier, to certainly collect and get paid. So with that, I would ask the clerk to take the roll.
Okay. Representative Doucette, how do you vote?
Doucette votes yes.
Senator Kasser.
Senator Kasser votes yes.
Representative Delnicki.
Representative Delnicki votes no.
Senator Berthel.
Senator Berthel votes no.
Representative Gucker.
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Senator McCrory.
Senator Maury votes yes.
Senator Bradley. Senator Hartley. Representative Baker.
Representative Baker, yes.
Representative Borer.
Representative Borer votes yes.
Representative Paolillo.
Representative Paola votes yes.
Representative Perone.
Representative Perone votes yes.
Representative Stallworth.
Representative Stallworth votes yes.
Representative Zioga. Representative D'Amelio.
Representative D'Amelio votes no.
Representative Fusco.
Representative Fusco votes no.
Representative Lanou.
Representative Lanou votes no.
Representative McGorty.
Representative McGorty votes no.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And as a reminder, we'll be holding that vote open till 2 p.m. today. Okay, and then we are on to our last item under Roman numeral 4, HB 6373, an act preserving the interests of prior title holders. Is there a motion on that?
Representative Delnicki makes the motion for HB 6373.
And Senator Berthel will second that.
Okay. Any discussion on that item? I will just point out that while this is a JFS, my notes are telling me that those were mostly just minor technical changes that for the most part, this bill is preserved as we saw it in its original form. This is another concept that has been in our committee for some time. I think perhaps this is the year to push it across the finish line. I will note too that there are other bills, in fact, one that we may see as early as our House session tomorrow that deal with the similar subject matter of DSS liens. So it may be that this bill may need to be revisited to see how those two bills intersect, if in fact that legislation is passed by the House and Senate. I think certainly is appropriate for us to send this on and perhaps again to, even notwithstanding that, to act on this to specify the subject matter in this bill. With that, any other discussion on that one?
Mr. Chair, I'd offer that for consent as well.
Okay, without objection. So I think what is left is to take a vote on our consent calendar under Roman numeral 4. Would the clerk please call the roll on that?
Yeah. All right. Included on the consent calendar is Senate Bill 831, House Bill 5027, House Bill 5090, House Bill 6369, House Bill 6371, and House Bill 6373. Representative Doucette, how do you vote?
Rep. Doucette votes yes.
Senator Kasser.
Senator Kasser votes yes.
All right, again, we all have to be muted until we vote. Representative Delnicki.
Representative Delnicki votes yes.
Senator Berthel.
Senator Berthel votes in the affirmative.
Representative Gucker.
Representative Gucker votes yes.
Representative McCrory.
Yep, Representative McCrory, since you called me Representative McCrory, I'm going to Representative McCrory votes
Senator
yes.
McCrory,
Senator
I'm
McCrory
sorry.
also votes. Senator McCrory
Who
also
has it?
votes yes.
Senator McCrory.
Senator McCrory votes yes.
Senator Bradley. Senator Hartley. Representative Baker.
Representative Baker votes yes. Did you hear me?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Representative Borer.
Representative Borer votes yes.
Representative Paolillo.
Representative Paolillo votes yes.
Representative Perone.
Representative Perone votes yes.
Representative Stallworth.
Representative Stallworth votes yes.
Representative Ziogas. Representative D'Amelio.
Representative D'Amelio votes yes.
Representative Fusco.
Representative Fusco votes yes.
Representative Lanu.
Representative Lanu votes yes.
And Representative McGorty.
Representative McGorty is a yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. So, Roman numeral 5, announcement and time and date of next meeting. Our next committee meeting is not scheduled until March 9th, where we will take final action on other bills. Our next time we will convene is March 2nd for a public hearing, and that is our last public hearing. That'll probably be a fairly lengthy one compared to the prior ones we've had. But we're really getting to the meat of our agenda as a committee. So I'm looking forward to that and hearing more about those bills and the discussion as we move those bills forward. So with that, I will recess the meeting for now. The votes on those roll call votes that can be held open will be open until 2 p.m. today. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me a call after the meeting? I lost your number. Or just text me your contact information. I gotta reach out to you. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Anyone that arrived late, just stick around and I will take your votes in this room. And if you are sending anyone my way, just tell them that I'm here till 2 o'clock.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
All right. Representative Stallworth, are you there?
Yes, semi-cooking. I had a later doctor's appointment this morning, so I'm
I
running back.
understand.
You're
you're in a lot
Okay,
of
I'm good.
places at
I'm
once.
ready. Thank you so much.
All right. So I guess by the rules, you can't vote late on consent calendars. but I can take your vote on the roll call that we did on the State of Connecticut Bank.
I think I made, were there two consent calendars? Because I made a consent vote.
Yeah, I think you probably did make that. There were two consent calendars, though. You missed the
Oh,
first.
okay, maybe I didn't make the first one then.
Yeah, you missed the first one.
Okay.
And then otherwise you only missed, it was House Bill 6323, an act establishing a State of Connecticut bank.
Yes.
And yes, did you want to vote yes or no on that?
Yes on that.
Okay, that catches us up.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
All right, you too. All right, bye-bye.
Representative Perone, are you waiting for me or are you just on 12 meetings at once?
Okay, are we good?
You've reached Dawn Marthick, Clerk of the Banking Committee, and aide to Representatives Jason Doucette and Pat Dillon. Please leave a message. Okay, Representative Ziotis, there we go.
Cannot accept any
Hang
messages
up.
at this time. Goodbye.
Okay. There we go. Okay, there you are. We have 4 roll call votes. Can you hear me?
All right, here we go. I had my volume turned down. Good.
Okay, there we go. All right, so we have four votes. 2 are roll call and 2 are consent calendar. And so we have the first one is House Bill 6323, an act establishing a state of Connecticut bank. That was a vote to draft. How would you like to vote on that bill?
Yes.
Then we have 6372, an act exempting from execution certain funds in a judgment debtor's account. That was a JFS. There was a bunch of discussion.
Was that amended?
That was a substitute language, yes, but it still does the, lets people have access to that last $1,000.
Yeah, okay, I'm in favor, yeah.
Okay. Then we have 2 consent calendars. The first one were the 2 bills that we were voting to draft, 5608 and 5610. How would you like to vote on that?
Well, just give me the titles on them too, would you?
Okay. 5608 was an act requiring investment advisors to provide certain information to clients, and an act expanding access to certain loans issued by the Connecticut Higher Education Supplemental Loan Authority, Connecticut banks, and the Connecticut credit unions.
Okay. Yes to both, yes. Or yes to the consent, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, then we have a larger consent calendar. These were JF and JFS bills. I sent you the language last night. Senate Bill 831, which was an act concerning commercial mortgage loan originators. House Bill 5027, which was JFS language, an act requiring the banking commissioner to establish a first-time home buyer savings account program and establishing a tax deduction for contributions to first-time home buyer savings account. There was just a little bit of discussion about potentially amending this if it gets to the floor, because we're not 100% sure who will oversee it, whether it would be banking or DRS, because of the banking and tax aspects of it, but that was the only discussion. Then we have HB 5090, an act concerning mortgage forbearance and crumbling concrete foundations. And then we had 6369, an act concerning issues relating to mortgage and mechanics liens. That was a JFS. Then we have a straight JF, an act concerning the presumption of ownership in joint bank accounts. And the last one is 6373. It was a JFS, an act preserving the interest of prior title holders. How would you like to vote on that consent calendar?
In the affirmative.
Okay, we're all set.
All right. I see
Have a lovely day.
Representative Perone still
I'm
has
sorry?
on my data, on my screen, Rep Perone still has a place here.
Yeah, he just has, I think he's in 12 meetings at once and has forgotten to sign out.
Okay. I guess people come in and out then, I guess, right?
Yeah,
All right, good. All right. Thank you, Don.
okay.
All right, bye.
Hello, Senator Bradley, how are you?
Hey, Don, how you doing? Doing well.
That's good. Okay, so I have 4 votes for you. Hang on, I confused the two. Okay. We have 2 consent calendars and 2 regular votes.
Okay.
All right, the 2 regular votes. The first was a vote to draft House Bill 6323, an act establishing a state of Connecticut bank. There was a fair amount of discussion. And dissension, but how would you like to vote on that?
I'll vote Senator Dennis Bradley votes in the affirmative.
Okay.
So we're establishing our own like federal, what do you call it? The federal banking thing, like the same thing the feds have? Is that what, is that
I
the?
suspect,
Yeah.
I think so. We'll have to look at the draft and see exactly how that comes out. I'm not sure I understand it exactly.
Okay.
And then we have House Bill 6372, it's the JFS language. And that was an act exempting from execution certain funds in a judgment debtor's account. How would you like to vote on that?
Senator Bradley votes in the affirmative.
Okay, then we have the 2 consent calendars. 2 bills, we were voting a consent calendar on drafting. We have a 5608, an act requiring investment advisors to provide certain information to clients. And 5610, an act expanding access to certain loans issued by the Connecticut Higher Education Supplemental Loan Authority, Connecticut banks, and Connecticut credit unions.
Senator Dennis Bradley votes in the affirmative.
Okay. And then we have the last and larger consent calendar. Senate Bill 831, which is a straight JF, an act concerning commercial mortgage loan originators. House Bill 5027, an act requiring the banking commissioner to establish a first-time homebuyer savings account program and establishing a tax deduction for contributions to first-time homebuyer savings accounts. That was a JFF. Yeah, we've got 1 consent calendar. Hang on.
Okay.
And HB 5090 JFS, an act concerning mortgage forbearance and crumbling concrete foundations. HB 6369, an act concerning issues relating to mortgages and mechanics liens. That was a JFS. 6371, a JF, an act concerning the presumption of ownership in joint bank accounts. 6373, an act preserving the interests of prior title holders, JFS. How would you like to vote on that consent calendar, sir?
Senator Dennis Bradley votes in the affirmative.
Perfect. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Do the same.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Senator Hartley. How are you today?
Good morning, Madam Administrator.
All right, we have 4 votes to record. We have a roll call on a vote to draft an act establishing a state of Connecticut bank, House Bill 6323. How do you vote?
In the affirmative.
All right. Then we have a roll call vote on JFSing House Bill 6372, an act exempting from execution certain funds in a judgment debtor's account. And how do you vote?
In the affirmative, Madam.
All right. Then we have 2 consent calendar votes. The first 2 bills are voting to draft House Bill 5608, an act requiring investment advisors to provide certain information to clients, and House Bill 5610, an act expanding access to certain loans issued by the Connecticut Higher Education Supplemental Loan Authority, Connecticut banks, and Connecticut credit unions. And how do you vote, Madam?
In the affirmative, Madam Clerk.
All right, and the final vote, a consent calendar with final actions. We have Senate Bill 831, a JFS. It is an act concerning commercial mortgage loan originators. House Bill 5027, an act requiring the banking commissioner to establish a first-time home buyer savings account program and establishing a tax deduction for contributions to first-time home buyer savings accounts. That is a JFS. House Bill 5090, an act concerning mortgage forbearance and crumbling concrete foundations. That is JFS. House Bill 6369, an act concerning issues relating to mortgages and mechanic liens. That is a JFS. House Bill 6371, that is a straight JF. It's an act concerning the presumption of ownerships in joint bank accounts. And House Bill 6373, an act preserving the interest of prior title holders, and that is a JFS. How do you vote on this consent calendar, Madam?
In the affirmative, Madam Clerk.
All right, we're good, and have a lovely day.
Yes, you too. Be well.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye now.